All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into Elon Musk's blueprint for, well, a whole new reality. And I'm talking about a future with no work, no money, and maybe none of it is even real to begin with. So yeah, let's get right into it.
So let's just kick things off with this whopper of a prediction, because honestly, it's the key that unlocks his entire vision. The idea that in our lifetimes, having a job, it's going to be optional, like a hobby, something you do for fun, not because you have to survive. So how on earth do we get from here to there? Well, according to Musk, his blueprint starts with a tool he thinks is going to completely reshape society.
Now, the first step on this path to a work-optional future, you might think it's some fancy new robot or a breakthrough AI, but for Musk, it's not. It's something he calls a global town square. See, he believes that before we can totally change our physical world, we have to first change how we all talk to each other. And his tool for that, you guessed it, the platform X.
So Musk basically frames his whole goal for X as this big rebalancing act. In his view, the platform he bought was, tilted, pushing one particular worldview. So his stated mission, as you can see here, isn't to just tip the scales the other way. It's to try and create a neutral, centrist space, a real town square that's about a global conversation, not just one corner of the world. But hang on, because this is just step one.
Yeah, the real ambition here is it's way bigger than just a social media site. He's talking about creating a collective consciousness for all of humanity. Think about that. A single place where ideas, in any language, can be shared in an instant and understood by everyone, everywhere. The whole point? To ramp up our collective brainpower. But why? Why do all that?
Well, this quote right here really gets to the heart of it. He looks at humanity like a collection of trillions of cells. A single cell can't do much, right? But put them all together and you get a person. It's the same idea. One person can't build a spaceship. It's impossible. But a deeply connected humanity, we could achieve things we can't even imagine. For Musk, it's simple. Better connection means we can do more incredible stuff.
Okay, so let's follow that logic. What happens when you create this supercharged collective human intelligence? Well, according to Musk, this is what leads directly to that next massive world-changing shift, the end of work as we know it.
And look, he's not just talking in vague, far-off hypotheticals here. He's actually putting a timeline on it. He sees this AI and robotics revolution moving so fast, so incredibly fast, that the tipping point could be just 10 to 15 years from now.
Yeah, less than 20 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the headline. He's predicting that the absolute fundamental structure of human society, the fact that we have to work to live, is going to be completely turned on its head in less time than it takes for a kid born today to get through college. It's a wild thought.
So what would this world even look like? Well, Musk paints this picture of radical, unbelievable abundance. A world where AI and robots just produce everything we need. Work becomes a hobby, right? Something you do because you love it, not because you need a paycheck. And he's not just talking about universal basic income, or UBI. No, he's talking about universal high income, a state where pretty much anyone can have any good or service they could possibly want.
Okay, but this vision of universal abundance, it creates a huge, glaring paradox. I mean, think about it. If robots are doing all the work and anyone can just have anything they want, then what's the point of money?
Well, from Musk's perspective, money isn't actually wealth. It's just an information system. It's basically a giant database we invented to keep track of human labor. So that leads to the really critical question. If robots and AI take over all the labor, what happens to the database we built to manage it?
He lays out this whole logical chain, right? It goes like this. Step 1, AI and robotics create this insane abundance of goods and services. Step 2, human labor isn't needed for production anymore. So step 3, money, that database for labor, it becomes totally irrelevant. And it gets replaced by, well, the most fundamental thing in the entire universe.
And for Musk, that fundamental thing is energy. I mean, unlike money, which is just an idea we all agreed on, energy is governed by the laws of physics. You can't pass a law to create more energy. You can't just print it. He argues it's the true currency because really, all of civilization is just a story about how good we get at turning raw energy into useful, complex things.
Okay, so let's just recap for a second. We've gone from a social media platform to a world without work to an economy that runs on energy instead of money. So what's the end game? Why think through all of this? For Musk, it's all building towards answering one final, totally mind-bending question about what reality even is. And that question is, are we living in a simulation His answer? He thinks the odds are, and I quote, pretty high. And the crazy thing is, his reasoning doesn't involve some super complex physics. It's actually based on something every single one of us has seen happen in our own lifetimes. He calls it the video game argument, and it's pretty simple. Think about it. 50 years ago, the coolest video game was Pong. You know, 2 rectangles and a dot. That was it. Today, we have photorealistic, massive online worlds with millions of people playing at once. So if you just follow that line of progress, eventually we are absolutely going to create simulations that you cannot tell apart from reality. So, if there are going to be billions of those perfect simulations, what are the odds, statistically, that we just happen to be in the one original base reality? The odds are not good. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, Musk offers this one last fascinating idea. If we are in a simulation, then just think about how we treat video games. We quit the boring ones, right? So maybe, just maybe, our own reality has a kind of survival bias towards being interesting. The universes that stick around are the ones that keep their creators hooked. And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. What if our reality isn't just a bunch of random events, but a story that has to be interesting enough to keep the game from being shut down?